So tonight on Nerdly Out Loud, we are here once again, the official channel of nerdly.co.uk, and I have got an interview with two guys I've been dying to speak to for some time now. We've had some back and forth on the Facebook Messenger and everything like that about certain projects that they've had on the go. So it's cool to actually sit down and talk to them. Tonight, I've got my man Nathan Shepka, filmmaker, director of Holiday Monday, which anybody who knows my channel, anybody who knows Nerdly, knows that I adored that damn movie. And also When Darkness Falls. How are you tonight, Nathan?
Good, man. Good. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling productive.
Good man, good man. And we also have Tom. I'm going to ask you, how do you say your last name? Because I'm terrible with last names.
Joliffe.
So it's Tom Joliffe, the writer of movies like Fire Nado, which I absolutely adored, Mega Lightning, and of course worked with Nathan on his last movie, When Darkness Falls. We're not really here to talk about that tonight, though. We're here to talk about Baby in a Basket, but we will talk a little bit about those things because, Nathan, before we do anything, when am I getting Holiday Monday 2?
Oh, well, literally just cut the trailer for it yesterday. So it's ready to be delivered to the first distributor. So I think the UK is going to get it first for a change. So that should be, I'd say probably autumn time when that comes out here. But we'll probably drop the trailer for that next month. But it's looking pretty fun.
My daughter's going to be absolutely buzzing with that because we sat down and we watched that first movie and it was class. Like I love a movie that knows what it is and knows what it wants to be and just goes for it. And that movie did just that.
I think that's probably the only good review we've got for the film. But cheers, Kev. I appreciate that, man.
Well, if you can win the hearts and minds of my 12-year-old daughter, you've won. Like that's just life completed. You know what I mean? You might as well just take that to the bank. But how are we tonight? We've started off a Kickstarter campaign for the movie The Baby in the Basket. And yeah, Kickstarters, from what I know, are pretty soul destroying. So how's it going so far?
Yeah, it's been pretty soul destroying.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. I mean, there's three of us kind of running everything at the moment, and it's been a lot more than I expected. Even, bouncing between three people, sleepless nights, that kind of thing.
But it's good though. It's good, and it means like on the other side of it, you've got I like the whole Kickstarter ethos of having like on the other side, you've got all these backers who are not just sort of like going to watch your movie, but they're actually sort of invested in your movie and in your project and in you. So it's a pretty cool feeling.
Yeah, I mean it's a good way of getting people engaged. It's always, I mean, I haven't really properly done a crowdfunder before, but it's a bit kind of daunting when you go out there because part of you thinks, are we going to do all this work for absolutely nothing? And then naturally, when you start, doing prep for a project, you kind of become attached to it, even though it's not made yet. And in your head, you're like, oh, I really want to make this. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
we're just hoping that the target hits and we're able to do just that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we'll talk about it a little bit in a second. I mean, you're almost halfway. I think we're like 41, 42%.
Yeah, about 40%. So we've ran it for 60 days though. So instead of the 30, we've got another month after this, which we're probably going to need. But
no, you're doing gangbusters so far. So far, you're doing well. Just so that we can try and entice some more people in and get some more eyeballs on the project, tell our viewers, our listeners, the people out there a little bit about yourselves and what you're doing on the project.
Tom, do you want to go first, man?
Yeah, so I'm co-producer on it alongside Nathan, and I wrote the script. So we sort of developed the story together, kind of based on our sort of shared interest in those kind of horror films. So we like kind of old school stuff like gothic horrors, all that kind of, classic period that you don't really get so much anymore. So it kind of stemmed from there. We sort of spitballed a bit and sort of, developed the story. And then I went away, wrote the script, delivered it. Nathan said, that's a pile of shit. Then I rewrote it. We just developed it. And I think, at the moment, we've got a pretty good script. I would say that because I wrote it. but I think, yeah, no, it was good to go. So we kind of have a similar kind of tastes in films. We've just been working closely on it, and then hopefully it's in good shape at the moment. And then obviously the crowdfunder will do the rest, all being well.
I actually got the treatment through from Tom before he wrote it, which was about 4 or 5 pages, and I had a few sort of in jokes or Joliffe jokes in there. And I sort of read through and I was like, right, okay, that's very funny. And then I remember WhatsApping him going, yeah, as if, and he's like, no, that wasn't a joke, that bit. And I was like, right, okay. I won't tell you what that is, but yeah, needless to say, I'm probably going to be doing some quite questionable things in the film. Um, so I've got a part in it as well. Also directing it, co-directing it with Andy Crane, who's been a DOP for I don't know how many years. And yeah, producing it, which is always like carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. But yeah,
And how did I know you guys worked together on When Darkness Falls, your last movie, but how did this collaboration come about? And I'm guessing it was, it was a fruitful and enjoyable one because you're going at it again. So how did you guys kind of connect in that way?
well, I think this, I've known Tom for a few years, so when Darkness Falls, kind of that one came about because we were in lockdown at the time. It was really early on in lockdown, actually, and I'd kind of, floated the idea of a thriller. It's actually a kind of partial remake, When Darkness Falls, of a 1970s British thriller called In Soon the Darkness, which is about two British girls on a cycling holiday in rural France. So we kind of switched that up to American girls on a hiking holiday in Scotland. And that kind of developed through lockdown, and it kind of gave us the opportunity to shoot something towards the latter half of the first lockdown. But Tom and I are always kind of bouncing ideas off each other. There's always a few kind of things in the pipeline, or oh, we need to do that at some point, or there's a couple of scripts on the shelf. But this one, actually, we were meant to pitch to another distributor. Sometimes what happens, without boring people too much, instead of going out and looking for a film to buy and distribute, distributors sometimes look at what the market wants, and instead they go pay a production company just to make something for them for the same price that they'd spend buying a film. But actually, we ended up liking this idea too much to kind of give it away, if that makes sense. Even although we would have been producing it, your kind of creative freedom is limited a bit. So we kind of thought, do you know what? Let's just make it and then find a distributor for it, because I think we both kind of became attached to the concept a little bit too much and thought it was too good an idea to kind of not, I kind of gone for a higher job, so we didn't want to kind of go down that route. So that's really why we came up with the idea of the crowdfunding, to try and go out there and do it ourselves.
Well, yeah, I guess that does kind of answer the next question that I had, and it was going to be a bit of a blunt question. Is like, why Kickstarter, and why would you put yourself through that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess in the sort of low budget end of the spectrum, it's very difficult to generate that cash flow. So, people are probably, sometimes naive to think that you can make a film, sell a film, and then go make another film using that money. Doesn't really work like that, especially if you're not getting enough money back up front to then just finance the next thing outright. So this for us was a way of, I suppose, connecting with people and networking, but also just to actually give us a chance to bounce onto another project fairly quickly, because waiting for the money to come back, especially in the sort of digital arena where you're not going, there's a tenner for that DVD. It's now having to filter through Amazon and all the other digital platforms. Very difficult to generate cash flow. So we're hoping that this was actually going to help that. And to be honest, I think I probably speak for most filmmakers when I say that all producers really want is enough money to make their next film.
Yeah.
Most producers on this level want that. I mean, I don't want 5 million or something like that. I just want enough money to make the next thing.
Mm-hmm. And for all you youngsters out there, Google DVD. That'll be a trip for you. And then one of the things that I loved, I see a lot of Kickstarters out there that the pages look fantastic and everything's there, but there's very rarely like a fully fledged teaser trailer. And I think your teaser trailer is absolutely phenomenal. I don't know who I think you mentioned before, Andy Crane. He's your DOP, right? This trailer looks absolutely gorgeous. what we've kind of mentioned a few films up top, but what is inspiring this movie? What kind of movies were you properly looking towards, and when you were looking for that aesthetic?
Tom, I think that's probably one for you with the script as
Yeah.
well.
So I think, just briefly, but just what we were talking about before about why we're doing Kickstarter
Mm.
as opposed to going through a distributor from the beginning is they have very sort of particular tastes at the moment. So I think, certain distributors kind of deliver the same thing over and over again. And, if you say to them, we've got a film set in a convent with nuns, they're going to want something like The Conjuring, like The Nungery or something. So,
Oh, I like
that's not,
that.
yeah. I mean, that'll be good for something else, but we wanted to do something a bit different. We're kind of inspired by stuff like Black Narcissus,
Mm.
Rosemary's Baby, The Omen, Possession, just loads of these kind of old school psychological horror films and things that are quite gothic as well. So that's really our kind of our inspiration, really, to do something quite old school and atmospheric, more than just sort of jump scares and things like that.
One thing I did wonder when I came onto the Kickstarter, because I saw you put the teaser trailer out there, and it was in glorious black and white, the one that I saw, and I thought it just looked just visually amazing, you know. And then I went on the Kickstarter, and it's all in color, which again it still looks amazing, but I really quite liked that black and white, and you don't get to see enough of that nowadays. Is it going to be color? Is it going to be black and white? Is it going to be a mixture? Like, what are we doing here?
So actually, we we'd uploaded the color version to Kickstarter just earlier on today, just for something a little bit different. To be honest with you, I think it looks really good in black and white.
Mm,
Unless you've got Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe in it, that tends to be suicide for looking for a distribution
yeah,
deal.
yeah.
So our plan is to light it and shoot it for it being in color. You know, almost like that old sort of watercolor look that Black Narcissus has got. But what we'll probably do is get two grades done, one in black and white, one in color, and whether the black and white one is just for a premiere or something, or
Mm.
there might be a distributor that goes, okay, that's kind of obscure and art house enough that we want to keep it looking like that. I wouldn't be totally against that, but I know that probably that might be a little bit off-putting for younger audiences. Tom and I kind of talked about who the audience for this was, and you've got to try and branch out a little bit and not just have I don't want to say silver surfers, but the older people that maybe would watch something a bit more thoughtful like
Yeah.
this horror wise, but there's a couple little jump scares in there. There's some gore. I think you kind of have to try and appeal to quite a wide audience because unless you have got some crazy
Yeah.
A-list star in it that people will just watch for the name, you got to kind of think commercially, ultimately.
And we are filming in Scotland, I believe. Locations in Scotland. Now, independent filmmaking at the best of times is quite hard, but you've decided you're going to do it in Scotland where it pisses down with rain all the time. What was the choice here? What was the thinking here? Is it just the castles, beautiful landscapes?
I mean, I suppose you can, to a certain extent, you can point a camera at anything in Scotland and it looks pretty
Oh
good.
yeah, yeah.
Apart from some back alleys in Glasgow, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's cheaper to shoot up here in terms of locations and whatnot. You get a lot more for your money. I mean, something like Holiday Monday 2 would probably cost 3-4 times that if it was to be shot further down south. But I suppose that little Scottish islands isolated that all kind of tied together quite nicely, and it's obviously logistically possible because there is such things that are like little Scottish islands with just a castle on it or an abbey on it, so it didn't seem too far fetched. And I think probably out of the cast, I think there's actually only two people with a Scottish accent. I'm not one of them. I don't sound Scottish at all. Myself and Elle, who's playing Valerie, and the rest of the guys, because you kind of have to give it a little bit of. It's again thinking from a commercial perspective, you got to give it some kind of international appeal. I mean, I know that one of my friends over in America who lives in the deep south has to watch Train Spotting with subtitles, so we didn't want to have to kind of to go that route.
That always cracks me up. It's like who was it on daytime television when they said they had to watch The Wire with subtitles? Like it always just makes me laugh. It's like really, but I suppose because we live in amongst it, it's sort of like yeah, of course, it's all good. But talking about your actresses, you've got some incredible actresses on board for this, and as you always tend to, because Michela Longden, she's done a couple of things with you, and I'm well aware of a lot of her movies. I'm a big fan of Michela. Then you've got Amber-Doig Thorne, who is absolutely smashing it right now with the Winnie the Pooh movie. So you've got a cracking little cast here. How did you go about getting these together?
I mean, I think that we knew, Tom and I knew that we wanted to work with Emma and Michela, Ellen Michela at some point. Again, it was just about trying to find the right project because they are very good and they can just throw themselves into any role. And they were really good in When Darkness Falls, I think.
Mm.
Amber, I guess, she's a bit of an up and coming. She's in a lot of different stuff at the moment. She's very popular, so that seemed like a bit of a no-brainer. Yeah, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, Amber actually did audition originally for When Darkness Falls, so I was kind of
Oh,
aware of
nice.
her even prior to the whole Winnie the Pooh thing. Um, Ironically, which I turned down writing, so I was originally going to be writing that. Um, and she's done a couple of other things that I've written as well. Um, so yeah, we were aware of her. We've just cast another actress that we'll announce on Monday. She also auditioned for When Darkness Falls. So it's just that thing of sometimes you like someone so much, but they're not quite right for a role.
Mhm.
Um, but we've sort of kept them in mind, and we wanted to go back to them.
And of course, it'll help when it comes to selling and distributing, saying, we've got one of the Winnie the Pooh girls. So everybody seems to be talking about that
Yeah,
film.
Yeah,
yeah.
So
We've
you've got,
also got sorry, we've also got another interesting cast announcement probably coming out towards the end of next week. We can't say anything about it right now, but yeah, that should be good.
why do people always do this to me? And then they say, you know what?
yeah.
Once the mic's off, once the camera's off, we'll tell you. And then they never tell me, but it's all good. It's all good. But I did see that you had some on the Kickstarter page. You've got some surprise announcements to make, and I love all that. I'm going to try something for a second, and this probably won't work because I've not used Zoom in a long time. But I just want to have a little look, and I want to show people. This is the guy's Kickstarter page, and you got some perks on there. Who wants to run through a couple of the perks for me and let people know what they can get, that bang for the buck?
Well, I mean, at the moment, so anyone who gets a perk over £10 gets a copy of the film. So
Yeah.
once it's all released and everything, you'll get a digital copy. Um, we've also got producing credits still available. I think it's £25 per gets you a credit on a screen, so a thanks credit. Or is that £40? Yeah, so £40 gets you a special thanks
Yeah.
credit. Yeah, and we're going to be releasing a few new perks across the weekend as well, so there'll be quite interesting perks coming up.
Oh, and look at that.
Oh, we've got the Nerdly 4 stars there
Nerdly
as
four
well.
stars. Tell you
Yeah,
what.
so we'll
In
have
the
to
back.
print the poster out for you.
That's why I said that. That's why I said that. And of course, people watching and people listening, if you go over to the Kickstarter page, the baby in the basket, you will see all the perks and everything there. There's some great perks on there. There's a couple of trailers. There's meet the cast and crew videos, which are awesome. It's good to see all the people that are coming in there. And please do check it out and drop as much money as you possibly can on this. I mean, personally, I would, I'd go for the 300 mark. Get yourself an associate producer.
45,000 would be nice if anyone wants to donate that.
You know what it is? I think we can do that. I think we can do that. But in terms of one of the other things that I saw that really kind of intrigued me and got me excited was you've teamed up with Flickr and Myth.
I mean, I've written for Flickering Myth for about 13 years.
Awesome.
So any sort of, you guys and all these sites, it's all born of a big passion for films. So, sometimes a natural progression, from sort of writing about films and doing interviews and things is to kind of get involved. I know Gary, who runs the website at Flickering Myth, kind of he always had that on the back of his mind, for the last few years. We just brought it up in conversation, really, and it's sort of because myself and Nathan were sort of considering, we were sort of in the process of developing this film. It kind of, steamrolled a little bit from there, and then we just had the idea of maybe it might make sense to sort of tie in with Flickering Myth and see what happens.
Well, I love it. I love it because independent filmmaking and everything, as people out there know, it's hard. It is a hard thing to do, and the more help, the more eyeballs, the more people promoting, the better. And it was really interesting for me. I was quite excited to see that a website like that is jumping in and like, you know what? Yeah, we could review your movies, but now we're going to kind of try and practice what we preach and get involved. And I love that. I love that. But it's great to see. And then of course, the girls you've got involved, some of the actresses you've got involved, they're all part of this up and coming, just amazing scream queen selection. Like some of the movies that they're turning up in, it's just wonderful. How does the industry feel to you guys right now? Because I know it's been sort of a closed circle for a little while, but you're coming through, you're breaking through, and everyone's helping out. How does it feel?
I think it probably is still a closed circle in some respects. You've kind of got the big studios will always kind of do their thing. You've got the middle guys, and I suppose really guys towards the kind of bottom end of the scale where, you are trying to do something off your own back to a certain extent. You make something, you go find a distributor. It is difficult, and I think that it's not without its challenges, especially at this level. I mean, that's something that you hope to get better at with every project. I mean, every project is a learning curve, start to finish. You just hope to kind of make the process smoother, straight from prep to production post, and then right through to kind of getting the movie out there. And I suppose that the more you do, technically, if you do it right, if you get them distributed each time, you should kind of be in a little bit of a better position when you make the next one. And then I suppose your network grows and
Yeah.
the people that are watching your films, and you hope that people kind of start to latch onto you a little bit and follow your career path, unless you start turning out absolute dog shit. But
I mean, that's not going to be a worry for you because Holiday Monday 2 is coming, and that's the one that's going to break you.
yeah, yeah. I'm looking forward to that one coming out. Yeah.
So when can what's best case scenario? When are people going to be able to see the baby in the basket?
Well, I think probably the plan for it is if we get the money through, if we get the funding, we'll probably start shooting late September, early October. We'll probably be shooting for a month, kind of on and off, depending on schedules, because all the actresses and certainly the other people we've got attached are really busy. So ideally, it would kind of go into post at the end of the year. And probably be ready to deliver kind of middle of next year or autumn next year. We were intending on doing a little bit of a festival sweep with this one because something, I mean, Tom, I think you probably submitted shorts and stuff to festivals before.
Yeah.
It's not something that I've ever done for a feature because something like Holiday Monday, you kind of just, you fire out there. It's not the sort of festival film, whereas we kind of feel that this is, and it's also a way of getting a little bit more attention from distributors and stuff like that. It's a way to get early reviews and hype. So we're thinking if we're able to hit a couple of those bigger horror festivals, it might stand us in good stead. So ideally, the film would be kind of out there in some capacity, whether that be festivals or whatever, by kind of autumn next year.
Nice, nice. Who wants to give the pitch to try and get some people to jump in and back this project? And obviously, we will try and push it as much as possible as well. We'll keep plugging the links and everything. But who wants to give the pitch to get somebody to give you that 45 grand?
Tom, you're a really enthusiastic guy.
Well, okay. Well, we want people to have a look at our campaign, see if there's anything you like in terms of the perks. It's helping out indie film. There's a small network in the UK, so everyone kind of knows everyone, and I think, we've got a lot of great perks on there. You can have on-screen appearances coming up, vocal roles, there's producer credits, on-screen credits, so you can get your name up in lights as well. And anything Nathan wants to add?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, just what Tom said, it's about, supporting indie film. Hopefully we're about to make a really good film here. To me, we're all kind of on the same journey. So, I know a lot of filmmakers are competitive, but the way that I look at it is everyone's on the same journey. We are kind of the little guys against the bigger guys kind of thing. So yeah, anything people can do to support. I know that things are really difficult right now, but yeah, even a fiver, tenner chucked in the campaign, it all helps. If you can't do that, just share it on social media, punt it to a few of your friends. The more eyes we get on it, the better.
I mean, times are not that difficult. They could give you money and get this film made. Come on.
We'll take a quid. I mean, we'll take anything.
but no, thank you so much, guys, for coming on and doing this and talking about the movie. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you come up with. Like I say, the trailer already sold me. Just got all the different sort of vibes that I'm really into, and the movies that you're talking about that you've been inspired by for this, all the kind of movies that I absolutely love. So yeah, we're going to be keeping an eye on this, and we're going to keep an eye on the Kickstarter, push it out as much as we can. And anything you guys want to say before we go?
Thanks a lot for having us, Kev.
Yeah, cheers. It's finally good to meet you and have a chat.
It is, and we'll absolutely do it again, and we'll do a proper deep dive on everything you've been up to. But today, this was just about, let's talk about the Kickstarter. Let's get it out there. Let's promote it as much as humanly possible for you guys. That's what I'm all about here. So it's good to have you on.
Cheers, man.
Good to be on anytime. I'd love to come back.
Yeah.